All right, let's talk about Trey Lance, and we'll start with you here, Graz, because in Mel's latest mock draft, he has Atlanta at 4 taking Trey Lance. But what's the situation with Matt Ryan's contract?
Well, Laura, the Falcons recently restructured Matt Ryan's contract to save about $14 million in cap space this year. But as a result, they take a big hit next year. You see that cap hit next year, 48.7 and 40.5 if they were to trade or release him. So what they've done is make it much more difficult for themselves to move on from Matt Ryan after this year than it was before the restructure. Doesn't mean they can't, because we've seen teams, the Rams and the Eagles most prominently, do things with dead money numbers and quarterbacks this offseason that were unheard of a year or two ago. But the contract makes it more difficult. So if Atlanta were to draft a quarterback at number 4, it's probably someone who has to sit for 2 years as opposed to just 1.
I mean, Trey Lance is only 20 years old. I kind of like him sitting for a couple years, but this is really hard to figure out, Dan. I think if you think about it, like, you're not that high in the draft that often. Right. What do you do here if you're Atlanta?
I don't know, and I hate that. Because I hate it. I hate being soft on television.
You're so soft
People
right
at
now.
home are sitting there like, shut this. I hate it because you're soft. Come out and make a statement. I don't know what Atlanta should do. I go back and forth. I look at this team and I go, they're better than their record was last year. They had 12 losses, but 6 of those losses are by 4 points or less. They lost 3 games that they had a 99.9% chance to win that football game in and lost 3 of them. So then that tells me go draft an impactful player. Still got Matt Ryan, to Grez's point, for at least 2 years, more than likely contractually. Go draft a good player because you're better than what your record was last year. But then I'm also the person that is from the same school that says draft a quarterback when you don't need to. Because so often young quarterbacks go in the NFL to bad teams, and that's why they struggle. But look at a Lamar Jackson, a Patrick Mahomes, a Josh Allen. They went to good football teams, and they're excelling. So that tells me, Atlanta, take the quarterback at 4 and let him sit behind Matt Ryan for a year or 2. Because then when that quarterback does have to play, he's got a good football team around him. I don't know what they should do. I'm torn. I hate it because I like going on television and being convicted about something.
I got your back. I'm not torn. Layup. This is easy. Take him. If I go to the Bentley dealership and it's the price of a Mazda, I'm going to buy the Bentley. Trey Lance has an opportunity to sit behind Matt Ryan, learn this game with a good roster, with people around him, and just take advantage of what we've seen quarterbacks do. Everybody remember when Patrick Mahomes was sitting behind Alex Smith?
Right.
That was already a good Kansas City Chiefs football team. Y'all remember when Aaron Rodgers was sitting behind Brett Favre and then Green Bay just made a move to sit Jordan Love behind him? This is a luxury as well. You have a guy you feel you can win with in Matt Ryan, but you also have the opportunity to draft the future of the most important position in professional sports, to give yourself a window to see if he can be the guy to lead you further into what you want to do as an Atlanta Falcons organization. This is so easy, and I get it. I understand if somebody could be confused. I get it, Dio, but that's why I'm here to have your back. If Trey Lance is sitting there and you can draft him and not have to start or play him and develop that talent behind Matt Ryan, no brainer.
But this is where I'm going to push back. This is where I'm going to push back. Because then what happens if you get to the end of December next year and you're 10-6 and you miss the playoffs by a game, or you're 9-7 and miss the playoffs by a game? Then you're going to sit there and you're going to watch a player like a Jamar Chase or a Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts goes somewhere and he lights up the league next year. You're going to sit there, if you're in Atlanta, and Matt Ryan's going to sit there and go, we were 9-7 and our tight ends had 25 catches. You should have gotten me Kyle Pitts. And then now as a head coach in an organization, you're sitting there going, did we miss the chance to get into the playoffs because we took a guy that we were in the future? That's where I get like back and forth on this situation.
Let me add one other thing in here. Oh, go ahead, Marcus.
Go ahead, Els. You got it.
I was just going to say, like, what if you're the Falcons, you got that 4 pick, but maybe you really like Justin Fields? And listen, Trey Lance is super talented, but that gets interesting, too. If you're going to decide you're going to pick a quarterback.
Do you go up, you're saying?
Do you go up?
Oh.
I don't know. I mean, that just occurred to me as we're talking through this. It might make sense if you're really committed to drafting a quarterback this year and you look toward the next year's draft, you say, my quarterback is in this class, might need to even go up if you're going to stick with it.
Thank
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.